This is episode 105 of the EdTech Takeout from Grantwood AEA. My name is Jonathan Wiley, and here, as always, is Mindy Carney.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us?
Yeah.
We don't need guests.
No,
because,
guests.
I mean, yeah, right?
We're just going to talk about other people today.
We are going to talk about other people today.
Yeah,
yes.
It's my favorite thing to do. Okay.
Well, it's good to do that on a podcast because nobody can reply or reply all or anything else.
That's right. Yeah, nobody can complain.
Just at Mindy on Twitter.
Yeah, because I don't check it, so you bet.
Perfect.
Have at it. News and follow-up?
Let's do some news and follow-up then before we start talking about other people.
All right.
The iOS version of ExpeditionsPro is now available. Mm-hmm. So this is the app that is the closest thing to replacing Google Expeditions. And so it means you, in theory, could now do VR tours on a class set of iPads.
Mm-hmm. But
we haven't tested it yet, so...
So we don't know.
That's why I said in theory you should be able to do that. So, hey, if you want to test it and let us know if it works, please do. It was always one of the things, I think, with Expeditions that if people didn't have, the headsets and all the phones and stuff, we would tell them, you can do it with iPads.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not, as immersive, but you can still lead a tour and guide a tour and show kids different things, so...
Because there's only an iOS version of this?
No. It started as Android only.
Okay. So you could do it with a touchsking Chromebook too. Right?
In theory, yes.
In theory.
We didn't test that either. That's a good idea, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you could. I think so. Yeah. Okay. Lots of things for our listeners to try out and tell us how it works because it's just
we don't know.
We're not going to do it.
Yeah, we're not doing it.
Maybe Gina Rogers could do it.
Maybe Gina Rogers could do it.
Our new Expeditions ambassador. Moving on then, Apple has introduced a new version of iMovie.
Really?
This is iMovie 3.0. So I think this might be new to you, so I thought I'd throw it in here.
It is, yeah.
Two interesting features. One is called storyboards, which reminds me a little bit of how in iMovie you could do a video or you could do the trailer.
Yeah.
And the trailer kind of had this stepped storyboard, basically, that was put this in here and that in here, this 3-second clip, this 5-second clip.
Fantastic, yeah. Love it.
It's kind of like that, except it's for the video version. It's not for trailers. They have 20 different templates that you can choose from, cooking tutorials, Q&As, product reviews, news reports, all different templates. And as you go through, it will give you suggestions for the type of shot that you might want to frame or have in this part here. And you can take that suggestion or reject it outright as you want.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, take it or leave it. And if you want, you can just, add some extra ones or start from scratch. But the storyboards are new just to help kids, I guess, and anybody else improve their storytelling skills.
I use that trailers a lot with my, primary kids because it really helped guide them to what, and plus it gave you an idea of what the shot should look like.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yeah, it really helped kind of guide them into something that was more enjoyable to watch as opposed to 10 minutes of crazy.
Was it Tony Vincent that did all those templates for the trailers? Do you remember that you could print them out and they could write them out ahead of time and plan them?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Somewhere.
I'm sure they do exist somewhere. Okay, if I find them, I'll put those in the show notes too.
Oh, yeah, dig way back into the archives. Good luck. Let us know how long it takes you.
Yeah. Second feature that they added to iMovie 3.0 is called Magic Movie.
All right.
Where you can quickly create something. I mean, I know you're an iOS Apple person, like in Apple Photos. Yeah. It does those little moments.
Yep.
This time last year you were in this park, and it puts a little photo video slideshow together. So I think it's going to be like that. You can just select an album or some videos quickly.
Yeah.
It will kind of scan through and take what it thinks are the best parts of each video and photo and compile it into something magical.
Nice.
I guess. Yeah.
I use Quick for that.
Yeah.
So
really good app for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're taking things like Quick and Okay. So there you go. Try those.
Yeah.
iMovie 3.0 is a free update from the App Store for devices running iOS 15.2 or later. So you need to have a fairly recent and updated device, it seems, for these.
Okay.
Next on the list, Zoom has a couple of updates which I thought were interesting.
All right.
One is more interesting than the other. I mean, they've updated the
Way to
whiteboard.
preface it, thank you.
Yeah, the whiteboard is nice to have. It's a nice update, and it now looks more similar on all devices. So the Zoom whiteboard has got some updates. The interesting one is the gesture recognition.
Yeah, talk to me about this.
So on a Zoom call now, if you enable this, it's not enabled by default, but if you turn this on in your settings, you can put your hand up like this, and it is the equivalent of doing the raise hand button inside of Zoom.
What?
You know how you can click raise hand and it's like it puts a little hand next to your name and the participant list. So you can now just do this and it does raise hand for you.
So if I was looking at the screen, I would see you physically raising your hand and also it would show as a notification.
Yes. You can also do thumbs up and it will give you the thumbs up emoji? Reaction. Yeah, so people say that, and I've been on Zoom calls recently and they're like, give me a thumbs up if you're still with me and all this sort of thing. You do this and yes. But sometimes people say, give me a thumbs up or give me a reaction or something, and because people don't know where the reactions are sometimes.
Yes,
but if you just do a thumbs up, it will automatically do the thumbs up reaction too. So different. I mean, fun maybe.
Yeah, a little bit of AI, right? Does it have to
I guess
be AI,
so.
right?
Yeah.
To read
It's
gestures?
scanning and looking at what
all
you're
gestures.
doing.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So, I mean,
get all gestures.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure there'll be something weird, like I don't know, like if you're working at home or somebody will walk by and they'll be mouthing something at you. You just go like you put thumbs up, and then the Zoom will be a thumbs up, and people will be wondering why you're thumbs up.
Wow, he's really excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and does it work if your camera is off? I wonder. Presumably not, right?
Right. Because how would Zoom
be able to see you? Does Zoom see you or not?
So if you're using the web-based, I would say no. But if you're using software, desktop, that's different.
Is it just participants can't see you, or is it Zoom can see you?
I don't know. Oh, I'm sure Zoom can see you. Everyone be careful out there.
Get your tinfoil headset. Last one on the list. Okay. Maybe Mindy could talk about this.
Maybe she can.
Maybe she can, maybe she can't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I am not the expert on this, but Wiley wanted me to mention that there are computer science lessons coming to Seesaw. So if you're not familiar with this, Seesaw is now adding lessons to the library. There are some there for free right now. And so here's one tip. Those Seesaw lessons, they are not saying that they will be free forever. However, if you go in and like this free Seesaw lessons in there and add them, so when you hit the little heart button, it likes it and saves it into your library. Right. So as long as you have it saved to your library, you have it forever.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old Padlet thing, right? Like you have made all of the Padlets, you get to keep them all. So that would be the first thing. If you like those, go in and save them. If you don't care about them, don't. But there will be computer science lessons coming with the additional Seesaw lessons that will be for purchase in the future. So currently right now, our AAs, the state of Iowa, is looking into those computer science lessons. I have not seen them, but I've heard that they are phenomenal. So just keep an eye out for those. Keep an eye out for webinars if they have them in your area to learn more about not only the computer science lessons, but also Seesaw lessons in general. So the nice thing is that they're allowing us to preview some free ones right now. Of course, it's like a promotional thing, right? Because everybody's got to make a buck. But so yeah, just know that they're there and they're coming and take a look, I guess.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Okay, so up next, served to you piping hot, it's ITEC. Well, you said reflections. Now, I was thinking this is like ITEC nuggets.
Am I going to have to
nuggety
rename the episode already?
I feel like maybe.
ITEC nuggets.
It's ITEC nuggets.
Okay.
But also reflections, I guess.
Nuggets and reflections?
Nuggets and reflections? The nugs.
I'm going to have to work on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have just returned from ITEC, face-to-face ITEC 2022, which was kind of exciting. To be completely honest, I really was surprised how many people were there.
Yeah, I think I was too.
It was crazy to see people like in person. I kept walking and was like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Hey, how are you? So it was really exciting to start to feel like things had gotten back to normal a little bit. It was great to see so many people in person. It was great to do some team learning again. Like you and I went to sessions again together because normally we kind of travel in pairs, the two of us, and had lunch together and did all of the great team things that we, used to do.
That was good.
Felt a little bit normal finally.
Yeah, conferences are back in person again. I mean, this one was technically a hybrid conference, all right?
Was, yeah.
So, which was challenging for us as a presenter because we were live streaming it to the Hoover platform and we were also presenting it to people in the room at the same time. And
people could go back and watch it if they couldn't. So technically you had 3 audiences. You had your live face-to-face audience, you had your live streamed audience, and then you had an audience of people who might come back and watch that video later. It's interesting.
And it's an interesting format because, when you go to conferences, there's always there's these 2 that are on at the same time. Yeah. I don't know which one to go with, and you have to pick one. Yeah. But I guess in theory, even like you and I could go back and see any of them for the next, is it 3 months or 6 months?
You know what?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I didn't see you present, though.
No, I didn't see you present either.
No, well, that was rude. So what did you present on?
I only did one presentation this time.
Oh, wow. Lazy. Okay.
I know. I was feeling lazy. I was wanting to learn. I couldn't think of anything else to present.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the history of this conference it was supposed to be in October, wasn't it? And
October 2 years ago,
Well, I think, and then it got rescheduled and pushed to spring and stuff.
Right.
And so in between, I didn't think of anything else to present on. So I did Getting Things Done with Google, which is based on some of the stuff we've done on the podcast too, I think, a little bit. It was a Google productivity session for teachers. And I said to them, a lot of the sessions you'll see here today are based around how to help students learn more with technology.
Sure.
This one is not one of those. This is about you and helping you
I like that.
get organized and give you some tips for email and task lists and Google Drive and Keep and all that kind of stuff. So I just went through some of those main productivity type of tools to help people think about different ways to use those because I think people are feeling swamped and overwhelmed. And we're at that time of the year where we're on that last slippery slope where we're going straight into the summer and there's nothing stopping you. So just help people stay organized before they get there.
Yeah. But you're not going to share any of those things? You want to tell us any of them? Or secret?
A lot of it was based off of a system called Getting Things Done.
Okay.
So it was...
Is that a book?
It is a book.
Yeah, okay. I think you talked about it before, right?
Yeah, by David Allen.
Yeah.
And so there's different ways you can set up your email. So I just shared how I do priority inboxes and labeling. So I only really have 2 labels for my email. And there was 2 rules I think I came along with for my email session, which was the 2-minute rule. If you can deal with it in 2 minutes or less, then you absolutely should
do it in the moment.
Do it in the moment. Don't put it off because the second rule was touch it once, which is if you open the email, don't just close it and move on to the next one and say, okay, I should look at that sometime or that's important. So touch it once means open it, label it, give it some kind of job or role so that you already know that when you have to deal with that one, that you know what it's going to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you talk about snooze then?
Talked about snooze a little bit. Talked about schedule send and some of those things just to
makes sense.
Help people think differently about their email and other productivity tools.
Wow, good one.
So what did Mindy work on?
Well, Bridget and I did a session on rediscovering your love for Seesaw. And the purpose behind that session, I think, is just that over the last couple of years, people have lived and breathed technology, their LMS. I wouldn't necessarily call Seesaw an LMS. It's, getting closer, of course. But I think they're feeling burnout about using that same technology over and over again. And so, Seesaw has a lot of really great built-in tools that live there that students can use. And so we just kind of wanted to bring some of those, remind people of some of the things that made them fall in love with Seesaw to begin with. And so we just talked about a way to utilize the Seesaw activity library and things that you could change about an activity if you found it, but you didn't necessarily love it. Bridget talked about those Seesaw lessons again. So just kind of bringing back all the perks of Seesaw in hopes that people would feel a little bit more re-energized to get back at it.
Yeah. I think it's one of those tools that you can get some fatigue from after a while. Certainly. If you always use it the same way, or you're not, you don't have time to go out and look for new ways or new ideas, then okay. So I can see how that would be appreciated for sure.
And then Beth and I shared some of the work that we've been doing this year with Gina Rogers and Amber Bridge around, blended learning, personalized learning. And so we did a session called Building a Collaborative Learning Community, 4 practices to get you started. Because the more we learn and the more we are involved in classrooms, we just see over and over again how important it is to build that classroom community of learners, and that it's often something that we do maybe at the beginning of the school year, but it's something that we need to continue to work on. And so we added lots of resources, and we were going to share the links to our session so that you guys can have all of those things too. But really talking about getting feedback from students, maybe working in small groups with students, but not based on skill level, and different ways that you could group students that aren't just based on skill level, and just some different strategies of how to make students a little bit more independent in the classroom, or to rely on one another as opposed to having to rely on you to help them solve problems. So lots of great resources in there that you could take a look at.
I'm looking at it now.
Oh, well.
Your 4 practices are connecting, planning, instructing, and engaging.
Yeah. And then a 5th one, which is kind of like the circle of it, right? So gathering data at the end of the lesson to plan for the next lesson, which is not new to anyone, certainly. But sometimes you just need a new view or a new perspective of how you might do that in your classroom.
All right.
Okay.
So links to our slide decks for those will be in the show notes. We could put all the slide decks from our team in the show notes. We could. We'll put it in the Wakelet, I guess. Because we have them all in a Wakelet. Yeah, so we could do that. Yeah. So what else did you go and see? Yeah. This is the part where we get to talk about other people. Yeah, we get to talk about other people, right? Right. Okay. So who do you want to talk about first? Well, let's talk about Josh Allen, since that was a session that you and I went to together. We did go to that one. Yeah. So Josh Allen, friend of the show. We went in, he had a session on Google Sites, and the new Google Sites, which I don't necessarily live and breathe. I've used it, but I wanted to go and just have a refresher, I think. Yeah. So one of the things, and I don't know if I knew this and forgot or never knew this, but you can add favicon. Is that right? How you're going to say it? Is it favicon? Or favicon? I don't know. I don't know either. To your Google site. And I was like, I don't know that I knew that. So if you don't know what that is, it's the little icon on your tab within your Chrome window or your Safari window or whatever that helps identify kind of what that tab is. So like for your Google Mail, you have the little Google Mail icon. It's a favicon or favicon or whatever you want to call it. So you can add one of those into your new Google Sites under the settings of that site. And then you would choose brand images, and then you can upload the image that you'd like to add to that tab. Yeah. And I think the reason that's great is because as it's great for users, I think. People want to identify what the tab is. So it's just a nice little usability. Plus, it just makes your website look a little bit more professional, right? And if you have like lots of school Google Sites open at one time, they're all going to have the Google Sites logo on them unless you... That's a good point. differentiate between them a bit. Yeah, because like if you have like 6 Google Docs open, they all have the Google Docs icon, and you can't tell if you can't tell what it is. Got too many tabs open.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice if you could add a
favicon to a Google Docs page?
Yeah. So one of the ways that we do get around this, though, is to put emojis in the title of your tab, and so that can help you identify it. But if you have 9 million tabs open, then
you might not see that.
You
emoji.
might not see that little tiny emoji. So
the other thing I learned in that session about Google Sites was you can now group pages together in the navigation.
Yeah.
So if you go to the navigation tab and you like see all the pages on the website, you can like group them into like sections, I think they call them.
Okay.
And again, I guess I hadn't seen that before because that can get messy. I remember like our Weebly site that we used to have had so many pages, and some were hidden for navigation and some were just like not used, but it was like a massive long tree structure. But he had a good example of one of his school websites that were, grouped them all together. So if you did something on Google Tools, you could group all the Gmail pages together or all the Google Drive pages together. So that was worth knowing about too.
Yeah, that was new to me. Certainly. I saw you had one more thing from his session though.
Well, when we were in that session, somebody asked him, can you put a Google slide deck in there so that it automatically plays? And he was like, I don't know. And then like the day after ITEC, or maybe even later that day, he tweeted at you and I to say that...
I'm not on the Twitter, right?
You hadn't seen that? No, he tweeted at you and I and said, hey, you actually can do the auto-advancing thing. And you have to click on the slide deck once it's embedded, and then there's like a little settings gear, and you can have it auto-advance. Just like, when you publish to the web and it goes every 5 seconds or whatever. So, yeah.
I knew that, though.
You did know that?
Yeah, I've made one before.
But somebody asked it in the session?
I know, and I answered it for him.
Did you?
Do you ever pay attention to me at all?
I try not to.
Gosh. Yeah, those Think, Make, Innovate design cards.
Oh, yeah.
That roulette thing that we have. I don't know. Is it roulette? It's more like so they auto advance so that they auto advance super fast. So it's like it's kind of like a slot machine, you click on it.
So does it auto advance by default, or do you have to turn it on?
No, I had to turn it on, I think. So I published it to the web and then set the auto advance to like super fast. It's like 0.01 or whatever. I mean, it's like super, super fast. And then I just use the embed code, put that in that way.
So the way he did it, or the way he showed me on that tweet that you didn't read, you don't have to publish to the web. It's a Google slide setting. So that you just go to insert the slide deck, and then there's like a little gear on it, and then you choose auto advance, and then it goes from there.
It's easy enough.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
now I'll have to go back to the Twitters and look.
You'll have to go back to the Twitters and look. Yes.
All right.
We could link to it in the show notes if I can find that tweet somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So what other sessions did you go to?
Andrew Fenstermaker did Google Secrets.
Yeah. Andrew always does a good job.
He does a good job. Yeah. He had like, I don't know, maybe 100 slides or something.
Oh, sure.
And he's like, we're not going to get through half of these slides, but I'm going to skip around and show you some things and try and get you excited about something.
Right.
So
it's a good way to read the crowd too, right? Like if they get excited about one thing, then you're like, oh, if I show you this.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's done enough of these that he can do that and read the crowd well. So I always forget about emoji bullet points in Google Docs. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can think of an occasion where I would want to use them, and that's maybe why I forget about them, because we're all business, we're all serious when you do meeting notes and bullet points and stuff like that. You don't want like little pandas or something on your bullet points, but hey, maybe you do.
Maybe you do.
So that's in the settings. Okay. So the way it works is you go to, in a Google Doc, you go to Format, Bullets and Numbering, and then you go to List Options. Okay. And under there, you do see some more different options like A's and 1s and stars, but there's one called More Bullets. And then if you click More Bullets,
get down in there.
It takes you into the Special Characters menu. Sure. And one of those languages that you can choose from, where it says symbol by default, is emoji. Right. And you go into emoji and you can choose like a heart emoji or something for your bullet points. When Mindy has just updated that on her doc.
I did.
So thanks for that.
So how do you do, so that's just the main bullet point, because we've got like a bullet point list with sub bullet points then.
Yes.
But it only is for the main bullet point?
I think.
Like for a single level bulleted list?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's still fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, I just thought you meant like, bulleted list, use emojis. Oh, I did not know that existed. Good one.
And while I'm in here, I was digging around in the dock settings. This is not one of Andrew's tips, but maybe it's going to be on his next one.
Okay.
Because you know how sometimes you go into Google Docs and it says new.
Yeah.
Well, if you go under the insert menu now, there's a new one called Add Emoji Reaction.
Oh.
Which I found out about live on the podcast. And so you can click after, or you can select some text like you would for a comment or something.
Yeah.
And then go to insert emoji reaction. And add an emoji reaction for something.
What in the world?
So those are fun too, right?
Yeah. Add emoji reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows up over like under the comment and suggesting whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a couple of little emoji tips for you.
Yeah.
Andrew also had this thing, which I think I've seen before, but again, I forget.
Yeah.
And if you use a mobile device and you are searching on Google for like an animal, he did one of a lion or something.
Okay.
Search for a lion and you get all the usual search results. But one of them is a little Google card that says view in 3D. And if you click on that, it lets you scan the floor with your phone and do like an AR lion life size.
Really?
On the floor in front of you. And you can do that for... I don't know if that's for every animal or not, but I would guess a lot of animals Google has done a 3D scan of so that you can have an AR projection in front of you. So if you wanted to, I don't know, you're projecting your iPad onto the big screen or something and you wanted to show an animal in your classroom, it will kind of walk around a little bit and do some animal things.
That's cool.
Last thing he did on there that I thought was kind of interesting, or things I should remember, I didn't know about. If you're in Google Drive, if you hit the period key, it will bring up the sharing menu.
Yeah, I don't know that I knew that.
I don't think I knew that. I mean, I'm not a big keyboard shortcut person for Google stuff, but that was there. D on inside a drive will give the details pane of a file, and P will preview any file. So... they kind of make sense. D for details, P for preview. So,
well, all right then.
So that's what I got from Andrew's session.
Okay. We both have Tony Vincent.
Oh, we did? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we didn't go to the same session.
No, he had he had several sessions.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So I went to his animated slides session. That was not the exact name of it, but it was something like that. And I took away two things. One of them I don't ever remember, and he said it, and I was like, oh, yes, this is a good one to remember, is if you're working in slides, to use the shift key with the arrow to move it just 1 pixel.
Yes, that's a good one.
So when you drag it around or you go to like click it into space, it's not just 1 pixel it moves at a time. It snaps into the grid. But if you use, sometimes it doesn't look right. And I feel like sometimes things don't even like snap in the right, the same spot, you know, like you were trying to line things up.
Yeah.
So you could use the shift key with the arrow key and it will move it just 1 pixel around.
And you can't just do the arrow key, but I think it's like 5 pixels or 10 pixels or something like that. So it's if you need it very precise, like I do, like my brain does, I should say then.
That's true about you. Yes.
Shift and arrow,
And I was like, yes, I totally forgot that. But that is a good thing to remember. It's one of those things you need it when you need it. And so if you're not using it all the time, which he is, I mean, he's using it consistently because he does all of his shapegrams and stuff. So the other one that was brand new to me and also blew my mind a little bit.
Okay.
He was talking about using Google Slides to create a GIF, which we've talked about on the show before. Now, what he is doing, though, is going to, like a image site of some sort. So let's say like Pixabay, right? So when he goes to Pixabay, he's searching for vector images. And within Pixabay, there's a drop-down that allows you to search just for vector images. And so then he's finding, like his example was a sunflower. So he took that vector image image. He downloaded it. He added it into his Google Drive and then used Cloud Convert to convert it to an SVG file.
Okay.
I know this
process,
is a lot. It is, and when he was talking, I was like, "This is a lot. This is a lot of steps, right?" So then he is pulling it into Google Drawings. What happens is those vector images are like pieces that are, let's say, drawn, right? So the sunflower then, when it was converted, each petal was like its own little movable piece. And like the stem could detach from the flower.
Right.
So if you wanted students to, his example was the sunflower following the sun, each one of those slides then, because this becomes more of a movable image, could be reoriented on each slide so that when you go to make it into a GIF, it's not something you had to draw yourself. It's an image that was already created. So that sunflower head could follow his sun across each slide. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you could group or ungroup.
Yep.
So if you wanted to move those petals around or whatever, you could do so.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is really smart. It's not something I ever would have thought.
No.
I didn't even know it was possible.
No.
So I did link. He has a visual on his website. So I linked that on there. It's not exactly how he showed us in the presentation because he was saying it's not exactly how but it's close enough that I think you could figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something different that he showed me was, and I guess this is similar to like a closed procedure type of exercise, but when he was in the classroom, he said he did a lot of like blackout style, redaction style text. So he would give his kids, a paragraph, and maybe it was from a science textbook or something, and he would put it into like Google Drawing, I think. Yeah. And he would take like the shape tool and he would just shade over certain words and color them black. And so that maybe 5 or 6 words in a paragraph were blacked out, and they were like keywords of some kind of meaning. And he would have the kids look at it and try and decipher what those missing words can be. And he did it with us as the audience. And sometimes it's like, that could have fit, but that's not the word. Yeah. And just the conversation that you have around that sort of thing is kind of interesting. So very easy to do. You could do it in all kinds of different tools, I guess, too. Yeah,
I think that's called the close reading strategy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I called it closed procedure, right? But something like that. So closed reading, yes, you're right. So it's similar to that. So instead of having, it's like a missing word, but he would do it sometimes where he would have like maybe the first letter showing, but then the rest of the word blanked out. Yeah, or he would have it like a skinny rectangle that you could see the bottom half of the word, but not the top half. So you knew there was like some descenders, like G's or Y's or something in there, but you didn't know exactly what it was, and that just to give you hints and things. So yeah, interesting ways of doing that.
That's interesting.
Other thing you showed that I took a note of, and I thought I hadn't done one of these for a long time, was wordsift.org, which is a word cloud generator. And it's been a while since, if somebody said to me, hey, do you know a good word cloud generator? I'm not sure I would know one off the top of my head. So it made me think about word cloud generators. So you can just paste some text into a box, and maybe it's something out of like a Google form responses that you had from kids, and you want to just, highlight what some of the most important or most common things were on there. Stick it straight in there too. Yeah. All right. Who else did you go and see?
So I went and saw Chris Shiner, who is the gentleman from, now he works for Seesaw, but he's pretty popular because he, I think, was the first one who started creating YouTube videos that were about creating like choice boards, or first it was with Google Slides inside Seesaw, and now he works for Seesaw. So I think he did Seesaw sessions all day, but I only had the opportunity to go to one of them. And I actually ended up taking one of the things that he shared and put it into Bridget and I's session. And it was the idea to add a hint to a Seesaw template.
Okay.
So one of the things that he showed was, and for, Seesaw users, this is going to sound familiar. You add a template to your activity so that students have something to start with. But for scaffolding, you can hide-ish hints on that template by just like creating a text box. And at the front of that text box, it just says hint.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the text box can be that hint. What he did then, though, is he drug that text box down over to the corner of the template so that you could only see the word hint. So that students then, if they needed a hint, could tap on the hint, pull it to their canvas, read what the hint is, and then put it away.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. And so you can also, within text boxes, add a voice recording to that text box that reads it. So that would be extra points, right? Is to also add that voice hint for kids who, reading it might be a challenge. So you could have a voice hint or a text hint, and students could use it or lose it. You know what I mean? So
okay, I like that.
Yeah, I do too. It was something that I hadn't thought about before, and I thought was really clever.
And you know what? I'm glad that you were here to pronounce his last name for me, because I've never heard anybody say that. I've seen his name in lots of places, but I've never. Shiner?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's SZAJNER.
Yeah.
Shiner. Okay.
So somebody asked him, and I didn't know before either, so I'm not going to pretend that. So somebody asked him in a session, and I think they were fans of his. And so she said, will you please say your last name for me so I can go back and tell all of the teachers at my school, we've been talking forever. And he just said, it's Shiner. I know it doesn't look anything like that, but it's Shiner like a bruise on the eye. So,
Interesting. Okay.
All right.
I went to see David Lockhart, who I'd not seen before. He self-styles himself as big guy in a bow tie. Is that right? Or no, am I saying that wrong?
I think that's right.
And so he did an iOS app session where he talked about lots of different apps.
When was the last time you were at like an iOS app session?
I know. It's
intriguing,
interesting.
right?
It is intriguing, yes. So I was wondering, what's new? What have I not seen for a little while? And, I'd obviously seen some of those apps on there. There's a couple that were brand new to me, I think. One was called, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, Collabracam.
Yeah.
Which is a collaborative multi-camera app for iOS. So, so if you think about like a video setup where you might have a multicam setup, you might have like a wide shot and a close-up shot and a medium shot. And in the TV land, the director would switch between different cameras and stuff to get different views. So that's kind of what you can do with this one here. You can have multiple cameras all filming the same scene, and you can record all the cameras at once and then play it back and choose the different angles that you want at different times. So
who else used to have something like that? It wasn't IPVO. It was what? Somebody else used to have something like this.
Was it TouchCast or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He showed TouchCast as well.
He did, huh? Yeah.
Is that what it's called, TouchCast?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one he showed, which intrigued me a little bit, is because it replaced an app that died or got bought and then killed, I should say.
Oh.
Sounds very
Murder
dramatic,
on the
right?
horizon. Yeah. What?
Well, things are always going to the Google graveyard, so they're also going to the other graveyards too. But do you remember Nuzzle?
Yes.
Which you kind of connected your Twitter account, and then it showed you all the other links that people in your followings were talking about and stuff. And Twitter bought Nuzzle, and then Twitter killed Nuzzle for whatever reason. So the replacement that he came up with for that was called TweetShelf.com, which is very similar. And it scans through all the people you follow on Twitter. And this one's a little bit different because it will give you different categories of things. So if you want to see the news and article links that people are tweeting about, it will give you those. It will give you books that people are talking about, podcasts that people are listening to, and videos that people are sharing. So if you want to just dial it down a little bit. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm sure it looks for things like Amazon links for books or something like that, but podcasts as well, maybe Apple Podcast links, but just a really interesting way to have a quick overview of your network and things and see what people are doing, because I think we've had a conversation as a team that people are kind of stepping back from Twitter a little bit and not using it as much as they used to. But, this could be a way just to, I don't know, help you maybe get back into it a little bit, or just make it seem a little bit less overwhelming if you can just at a glance see what are people talking about and sharing and things like that.
Well, especially, I know Beth talks about this, and I feel this way too about Twitter, is that there are, and I think you have to turn this off, but I do think that Twitter turns it back on for you when there's like an update or something, is that it will recommend.
The timeline view?
Yeah. Well, that and the recommended tweets. So I'll see tweets from people I follow.
Right. Yes.
And I don't care.
Yes.
Like I have a, stream of all these tweets of people that I don't follow, and I obviously look to see like, who is this? And so I'm like, well, why am I seeing this tweet? And I don't even follow this person. I'm getting it. So this to me is like kind of filtering through some of that junk that Twitter puts into your feed upon like suggested tweets or whatever.
Yes.
It's pulling from your
purely the people that you follow. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. It's available for iOS and the web, and I don't know if it's available on Android. Maybe Android. I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, so this is kind of nuggety, I guess. We were having lunch, and Beth shared with me, and Stacy said she had shared this with me before.
Oh, so, that sounds like me and you.
She's like, I feel like I've already told you people this, but whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, Beth pointed out or shared with us at lunch that you can highlight text on a website, then right-click on that highlight, and it will generate a link that bookmarks that text. You can share that link with someone else. They click on that link, and it will take them directly to where you want them to read. So imagine like this super long article, whatever. Beth wants me to read it. She can highlight the part that she wants me to read, generates a link with that text. I click on it. It takes me exactly to the spot that she wants me to read.
Yes.
Boom.
Only works in Chrome, though. Well. But yes, if you're a Chrome user, like most people are, you just right-click on it. I think it says copy link to highlight or something like that.
So, I think that's what she said too. I can try. I mean, I can try it, Wiley.
You could try it.
Let you know. Does it work on a dock too?
Probably not, because you get a different right-click menu on a dock, don't
link.
you? Yeah. Should we talk about Jesselebinsky?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because he was there.
Yeah, I went to we didn't go to the same session for him either.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show.
He's been on here talking esports recently.
Yep. Yeah, yep.
At ITEC, one of the sessions I went to with him was on AR and VR, which I think was interesting.
Okay.
Because, that was pretty hot, I think, before COVID.
Yeah.
And he said at the beginning of his session, somebody came up to me and said, it's COVID, so it's a perfect time to do AR and VR. He's like, no, this is the worst time to do AR and VR. We should not be passing things around that have been on people's faces and next people's noses and stuff.
Yes.
And so I think he's getting back on that train and saying, look, okay, we're coming out of the pandemic now a little bit. Maybe this is time we get back into this. And so he does have a book out called Reality Bytes, Innovative Learning Using Augmented and Virtual Reality. And what I liked about that, something he shared from that, was the framework absorb, blend, and create.
Okay.
In terms of using AR and VR. So the absorb part is just like that consuming part. It's like, I don't know, Google Expeditions probably, things like that. You're just taking in all that, AR, VR stuff. When you're blending it, you're doing a little bit of absorbing, but also maybe thinking about, how could I use this for something. And maybe that's a little bit more of like, I don't know what the AR stuff used to be in Expeditions, where, it's cool to look at, but then it's like, it's in context of something and you're using it for something. And then obviously Create, when you're actually creating those AR, VR experiences. So if you're thinking about doing some AR, VR stuff, I think that's a good maybe grounding framework you could have just to move people in towards that sort of thing.
All right.
So, and he showed some things that, we haven't all seen for like 3 years because of the pandemic and no one was using this, but things like the Google Translate mobile app, how you can hold it up in front of like a poster or a road sign that's in a foreign language and it automatically does that switching to translate it for you. He showed an app that I knew before and I've used before called Jigspace.
The past.
Yeah, it's another blast from the past.
Wow, I love it.
But they've been doing things in the meantime that when we haven't been looking at it, like there's now collaborative opportunities so that all the students can be looking at the same AR thing at the same time. So it's almost like a guided, VR expedition, Google Expeditions type thing with the teacher, but you can do it so that they're all looking at the same AR thing. And he showed a jet engine and all the parts that explode out of that to make it what it is. So
that's interesting because I feel like it used to be you could draw like into the ether. And so I think if you were to go downstairs where we used to be in the office, Amber and I have a bunch of fun designs done through Jigspace. Because I feel like it's location oriented too. Like you can go places. It's not anymore.
I think you're thinking of a different thing.
No, I'm not.
I think you are. Did you click on this link and see it?
Well, I mean, we looked at Jigspace like 6 years ago. I bet it's been 6 years. We did a session at ITEC that was all about AR, VR. I'm going to look and see.
It's like, it shows you a picture of an engine and then you move on to the next scene and the cylinder heads will come off and show you how they're attached and stuff. I don't think there's any like drawing in the air with Jigspace. So there you go. Maybe it's time that we start breaking out our AR, VR apps again and have people explore some of those now that maybe this is the right time for AR, VR. Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Right. Or maybe it'll always be one of those things that are just kind of on the peripherals of, is it mainstream or not? Will it ever be mainstream? I don't know.
I don't know either. The future of AR is cloudy.
The metaverse, people keep talking about it.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
Anybody else you want to round this off with?
You know what? I'll just share one more. I went to a Desmo session, Desmos, I should say. And I've sat through some Desmos stuff previously. And I always like to go and, just watch people talk about it. And there were 3 teachers, Brianna Gudenbauer. I hope I'm not murdering people's names. Julie Kirkpatrick and Kara Beerbauer. And they were 3, 2 of them were actual like full math teachers. One of them was a special ed teacher. She also taught math. And so just like hearing them talk about Desmos, this is the interesting thing. 2 things. One of them, Desmos was the actual presentation link that you used. They built their presentation into Desmos.
Interesting.
Yes, I really liked that idea. It was very meta.
Yeah.
The other thing was, and I think I knew this, but it was a good reminder that Desmos within Desmos has its own, I don't think they call it a library. I think it's collections of like vetted activities that teachers can pull from and use and edit, whatever.
Yes.
However, they are, if you want to find Desmos activities that other people out in the world have created, you actually just have to use a Google search. You can't search for those activities within Desmos. So if you want to find like an algebra Desmos activity based on this little bit of learning, whatever, you have to use the Google search. You can't use Desmos.
Why is that?
I don't know.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
So if you're in Desmos and you're looking for something and not finding it, put it into your Google search instead.
There's like secret stuff that you can't find inside of Desmos.
I think this stuff probably has to be vetted to be in Desmos. And so instead of vetting just a ton of stuff, they put their own stuff in and
That's fair enough. I mean, I'm sure they only have so much capacity for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because then you have to store. Well, I mean, they're storing it anyway. I don't know. So, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that being a thing. I think I've heard that before, but I thought, it's a good thing to share. Good reminder.
All right. So, no official tech nuggets this week.
Right.
Because we just,
I think you should share your one, though.
Spent like 30 minutes.
You do have one on there.
I have one on here?
The one on there that I really like.
Okay. You just do
the
one?
The second one. Just do that one.
Are we going to do it now for my favorite part of the show or not?
Yeah.
Do I get an intro for this or not?
No. Just do the one. Just add the one. Tech little.
Do you mean the second one on
yes.
there? Okay.
I like that one a lot.
So our team in the past has used, is it called Future Me?
It is, yeah.
FutureMe.org, where we've had teachers send a letter to themselves in the future.
Yeah.
And like
before schedule send.
Before schedule send existed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we used to do it in like summer workshops and then say, so what do you think you want to hear in August when you get back? What do you want to try? What are you committing to? And so it would email people out at a date of your choice. So I came across another one that was a spin-off of that, and it was called Send a Video to the Future. And it's at seeyafuture.me. seeyafuture.me.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of based off, there's a famous YouTuber that your kids have probably seen called Mr. Beast.
Okay.
And when he was in high school, he made a video and he put it on YouTube with a published date 5 years in the future. Oh. And he said, hey, this is Mr. Beast, and if you're watching this 5 years from now, I hope that I have X number of subscribers and all the rest. And he was leaving a message for himself.
Yeah.
And that just did auto-publish, recently in the last year or two. That went live, and kind of interesting to see. So if you want, you can send a video to yourself or to anybody else.
Careful.
Yeah, and it will only deliver in the date that you decide to send it on. So, seeyafuture.me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I saw this just recently that was, and I feel like it was something to do with 2/22/22, but it was something about they did something for like kindergarten kids because there's something about their senior year that must come back to twos again or something. I don't know. I don't remember the context of it, but it would be kind of a fun thing if you had like district email addresses that kids could send, like as a kindergartner could send a message to their senior self, like, hey, remember me?
That'd be great.
These are my goals. This is what I hope that I'll be when I grow up, because wouldn't that be a fun, like senior project or, or kindergarten project for seniors? I don't know. Anyway.
Will that service still be around?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point.
Well, before we go, we should probably give a quick shout out to Bonnie, who came to say hello to us at ITEC.
Yeah.
She came by and I think she probably thought she left her podcast player on because she goes, I heard your voices. And I know who those guys are. They're on the podcast I listen to. So we always like to say hi to people.
That Australian accent, man.
I think so.
Yeah.
It just goes down really well, doesn't it?
It does.
So that's everything we have for today, all our iTech nuggets and reflections. Until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.